Hey, I just ordered a pack of critical thinking cards from a Facebook ad. They're pretty interesting. I don't think you have to get it through Facebook. It's from schoolofthought.org. And it says on the back of the card, the purpose of this school of thought is to help us question all schools of thought. We're a nonprofit dedicated to promoting creative and critical thinking skills.
So that means we can question the cards too.
Yep. And I thought it was pretty interesting given the seeming utter lack of critical thinking nowadays and deteriorating levels of critical thinking. So basically, there's a few game cards here, but most of the cards are divided into two groups. There's fallacy cards and bias cards. So I'll just find some common bias cards, a couple, and read them out. Your bias is confirmation bias. You favor things that confirm your existing beliefs. We are primed to see and agree with ideas that fit our preconceptions and to ignore and dismiss information that conflicts with them. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. That's a quote from Richard Feynman.
So that could be some forms of political correctness would be like that.
Absolutely. Another...
And just we're going, what is it that you like to call political correctness?
Political correctness?
It's the one word you use all the time.
Oh, wokeism? Yeah. And it's become like a modern day religion. Here's another bias card. Curse of knowledge. Once you understand something, you presume it to be obvious to everyone. It can be hard to remember our own poor state of confusion when we didn't understand something. When teaching someone something new, go slow without being patronizing.
Good point.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do one more bias card and then I'll read some fallacy cards. Fundamental attribution error. You judge others on their character, but yourself on the situation. It's not only kind to view others' perspective with charity, it's more objective too. Try to be mindful to err on the side of taking personal responsibility rather than justifying and blaming.
And be careful using situational ethics.
Mm-hmm. So those are some examples of some biases. Here's some fallacies that are quite common. Straw man, which many have probably heard of.
Mm-hmm.
Misrepresenting someone's argument to make it easier to attack. After Bob said that we should be nice to kittens, Will says Bob wants to be mean to puppies. Everyone boos Bob, who is clearly a mean jerk for wanting to hurt poor, cute puppies.
Or someone that's conservative, they're being criticized as being fascist.
Yeah.
Or someone that's socialist being criticized for being a communist or Marxist.
Yeah. I think that relates to another fallacy, which has to do with exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know from having done my Peary book review for approximately a year to 2 years that a lot of fallacies overlap.
Mm-hmm. Another fallacy, false cause, presuming that a real or perceived relationship between things means that one is the cause of the other. Pointing to a fancy chart, Roger shows how temperatures have been rising over the past few centuries, while at the same time the numbers of pirates have been decreasing. Thus, pirates cool the world and global warming is a hoax.
Right. That's a creative one.
Yeah.
Person they had to do this card, or persons has good creative writing skills.
Mm-hmm. Slippery slope fallacy.
Yeah.
Asserting that if we allow A to happen, then Z will consequently happen too, therefore A should not happen. Colin asserts that if we allow children to play video games, then the next thing you know, we'll be living in a post-apocalyptic zombie wasteland with no money for guardrails to protect people from slippery slopes.
Slippery slope.
Yeah.
This audio video will appear on Dr. Russell Norman Murray. Slippery slope has been dealt with on a few occasions. Look in the archives, Peary, etc.
Okay, now I'll just read a couple of the game cards. Here's one that could be fun to do after. I think most of these games to play them effectively, would require familiarizing yourself with all of the biases and fallacies.
Okay.
Fallacy pickup is this. In this particular game, it says lay out all 24 blue fallacy cards. Watch a news channel, political debate, or other partisan media. The first player to vocally identify a fallacy being committed picks up that card, and whoever has the most cards at the end of the show wins.
So post-pandemic, we have a game to play. We have people over.
Yeah. Another game card, bad thinking heads up. Take a random fallacy or bias card and put it on your forehead with the front facing outward, but without looking at it. Other players can commit the fallacy or enact the bias to give you clues as to what it is. For example, if you're holding the appeal to nature fallacy, and someone might say, Gwyneth, or wow, this homeopathy water is totally curing my ignorance.
Go green.
Yeah. And, okay, another, I see there's also some call-out cards. I think they're both the same. The call-out card says, your thinking is bad and you should feel bad. If you've been given this card, it's because the things you said were so full of fallacies and dodgy logic that it would take too long to identify all of them.
Right.
Please go to your fallacy and familiarize yourself with all the things. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, especially when I would read Blackburn from the Oxford Dictionary of Philosophy, he was more cautious, less dogmatic about a fallacy always being a fallacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Peary was a little bit more dogmatic. Example, damning the origins. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to me, looking at Blackburn, and again, that's in my archives, that damning the origins, damning a source. Well, some sources are bad, so it might not always be bad to say, this source is usually incorrect. But however, I would say premises and conclusions, or in an argument, premises and a conclusion need to be examined each time.
Yeah. Yeah, these cards are basically referring to the logic of arguments.
Right.
But a lot of times the problem is that the premises can be false as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like the argument might be formally correct. Like you can have two false premises and a false conclusion, and it's still valid argument. But it's just not sound, it's not true.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good.